Thank you very much, Lisa. As always, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Coming up, Dr. Well, if you have any issues with your family, peripheral family, your spouse, 571-5263, I know you're open to anything here, doctor, but licensed marriage and family therapist, what I love, it seems to me that you guys like to kind of get ahead of things. Instead of react to a problem, perhaps, hey, if you're seeing an issue start, let's get together and let's talk about it.
That's right. MFTs, marriage and family therapists, prevention is the best form of intervention, so we're coming to you every week here representing the Kentucky Association for Marriage and Family Therapy, that's KAMFT, and really marriage and family therapists, there you see our website, kamft.org. You're going to get a lot of news, kind of news you can use for your relational health for the public, and also all of our past segments over the last year and a half on Wave 3 Listens. But MFTs believe in relationship health, so even if you're stuck, they're not going to ignore illness or things like we're going to talk about today, gambling issues or some type of relationship constraint, but they're going to tap into what's good about you and your people around you, as you said, your peripheral family or your real family. That's what we're going to do. So, but it is Derby time, you know, and we are going to talk about kind of how to see if you or a loved one may have an issue with gambling, and this affects many Americans. It is sometimes, you know, we see people have a disability or some type of illness that creates a change in their behavior. We see it on the surface. So many times, though, for a gambling addiction, because it is psychological in basis and not physiological, we don't really realize it's a problem, either if we have the problem or our loved one. So here are some warning signs. We'll just flash those up there and then we'll talk about them. So as you can see on there, the first one is kind of preoccupied just with gambling. You must do it all the time. You're checking the computer, you're watching the games. Your day starts and ends with monitoring and gambling. Another thing is, you know, unable to stop. That you, even if you know it's becoming a problem as far as your finances and your relationship, you can't stop. Once you get going, you need more. And you start exaggerating and bragging about your wins. And when you brag about your wins, you kind of minimize your losses. So maybe you had one huge night at the riverboat or betting the NCAA tournament, but then that was followed by multiple losing streaks. So that is not good. And this idea of gambling back what you've lost. I can get it back. I can get it back. So, and that includes, you know, tapping into funds you don't have, borrowing money from friends, taking advances. And this all ties into the relational part, as many times the gambling is associated with you know, my favorite word on the show is transparency. So this is this idea of lying, not only to hide time, as it says there, but where you get the money from. So we think of infidelity, we talk about a lot of topics on the show is emotional and physical, but there's this other new line of infidelity called financial infidelity. It's basically lying to your partner or mismanaging money and letting your family or significant other believe that you have it. And obviously we see that tied a lot with gambling. And that's a lesson, losing work. Either because they're preoccupied with the gambling or that you can no longer function, and sometimes people lose their jobs and don't tell their significant others behind it. So those are some real big red flags. Now, if you're on the other side of that, if you're a loved one, a family member, what is the kind of roller coaster of emotions you might feel? So these are common reactions from really family members to the problem gambler. Anger, obviously that is an intense, and once you find out about it, especially if you feel like you've been betrayed and lied to, it is rage, especially if it comes to that you have, your loved one has mortgaged the financial future of your family for this addiction. Shame, it's the one thing, you know, that even though you as the loved one did not do the gambling, whether you enabled the gambling or it was kept from you, it's this shame and guilt. How can we tell our friends? How do we recover from this? Many people, marriage and family therapists work with families all the time, and an example, the college tuition that we thought was there and now it's no longer there. How do we tell our children? And with the shame also comes the hurt. This idea that, you know, betrayal, and again, it feels a lot like infidelity in the sense that we have built our future on these dreams, and now we no longer have them. And also coming about with that is just fear and uncertainty, not knowing what the future is going to be. These guarantees, these things we had, not only uncertainty about their financial health, but can I ever trust my partner again? Are they going to be okay? Are we going to be okay? This also happens a lot with parents and their adult children or emerging adults who have seemingly gotten independent and then have gotten into some trouble. And as we talk about this today, because gambling, the other thing is that people tell themselves, well, it's not really a problem. I do it in moderation, it's social, but anything can move from moderation to extreme very quickly. So what might not be a problem, if everything else is out of alignment and you put all your eggs in that basket, the behavior becomes extreme. So we see that a lot. And this time of year, I mean, it's Derby. Everybody, you're going to go out and you're going to have fun. You're going to see, it's the history of our state where it's kind of socially acceptable. You can't go to the track without gambling. So, we look at the glitz and glamour. It's a great time of year to be here in Kentucky. But, if you're not setting up for that, you can get into some big problems. So,
yeah. And I think for those who do not have the disease, they don't realize how serious it can be. It's just like an alcoholic. You don't realize, hey, I have a few drinks, I'm okay. And you may be. And you may be just a casual gambler. But someone who has it, it is a disease. It's a real issue. Chris is on the line with us, and she has a question. Hi, Chris.
Hi there. How are you?
Hi, Chris. Go ahead.
Well, I have a problem. I have a friend who has a gambling problem who has lost $20,000 in the last 6 months. She got some inheritance, and she's gone through it, and now she's going through her savings, and she's in denial. She kind of brags, like you say, about her gambling winnings, but really she loses more than she wins because she's at the boat 12 hours a day. And she sneaks off and doesn't tell anybody, and then she's gone three to four times a week.
Yeah, so as your question, how's your friend, can you help her?
How can I help her as a friend? Because she's in denial.
Right, so we talk a lot about the fine line between being a good friend or a loving family member and enabling them. So I'm glad you brought that up too, because a lot of people, we say, how do these behaviors get in check? Because the natural consequence, if you run out of money or run out of credit, you can't do it anymore. However, a lot of people, whether they inherit money or they get an advance, that is very tempting because they're out of control, and then they have a lot of free time. So it sounds like your friend is not working. She's going to the boat during the day, and what seems like an unlimited limited supply of 20 grand goes very quickly. So how you can help? First, you can come to them. If you are a real friend, you can tell them that you're concerned about them. So you connect underneath the behavior, and it's an out of control behavior, and you're concerned for them, not only the amount of time they're spending on it, they're not themselves, they're not balanced, and you do not make them feel stigmatized or less than for having that. And then you can hook them up with a marriage and family therapist or a different counselor, or you can send them to a Gamblers Anonymous group. And again, you can find that on our website. You can find that quick Google search, so you can connect them to support group to they're not alone. But you want to come to them out of a place of concern, not a place of judgment. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you very much for the call. Coming up, we're going to talk to Anna, and we'll talk to you at 571-5263. Licensed marriage and family therapist, Dr. Eli Karam. There's the website. If you want to check it out a little bit, get some information on someone who can possibly help you with an issue. We'll be right back on a Thursday. Wave 3 listens.